And an exciting game it was. Unicorns of Love seeming like they just had the strategies to go through. Both teams seeming like they're kind of figuring out what to do on the big stage right now. We did, as we said, see a little bit of scrambling back and forth. It seemed like after that huge shockwave we saw at 25 minutes, it almost changed the game. That kind of gave some false sense of security to Lyon Gaming, and it showed just they wanted to get to the next fight. So those little mistakes are still coming out in these players trying to hit the big scene. What was your take on the beginning of the game? Obviously, Kickass, we just heard there, trying to take control, a little bit of different stuff, and he got into the jungle, but messed that up a bit.
This was something that Monty actually kind of touched on in the last game, that people might become predictable, and that's exactly what happened. They knew that the bot lane of Lyon started on the Gromp, and then assumed that Evelyn was going to be on Krugs on the other side of the map. And that gave Kikis an opportunity to basically sneak in, knowing that the ward had expired, as Monty picked up on, that he could sneak in there, drop a ward on the blue, and wait. I actually think it was slightly Thiak's error that he didn't check that brush on the way in, because that really messed him up.
Yeah. Well, it's just playing on a player's assumptions right there, because if we talk about it, they only dropped the 4 wards. Unicorns dropped 4 wards at level 1 instead of the usual 5, and they waited until that timeout on the wards, so he started at red.
Right.
And so just walked over there, managed to drop his trinket ward right on top of the blue buff, and just waited and sprung the trap on him, and that was pretty devastating to Thiak's early jungling. So just a smart play by Kikis, powered by the assumptions that the other jungler was making. And I think we're going to see more and more of this as we move on, but definitely a fun little moment.
I'm going to actually have to beg to differ on that. I don't think that it really hurt him that much. If you look at the CS in the mid-game, they had exactly even CS, and he didn't really get a kill off that or anything like that. They blew a flash, but it looked like he just farmed it out just fine. Maybe it hurt like some of his early game pressure, but I don't think it hurt him that bad.
Well, 3 buff as well.
Well, 3 buff doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things now, because before in the old patch, you're like, oh, you got my buff, that means you're not going to be level 3, and I have a level advantage on you. But now you can just clear, you can clear a whole side of the thing and you can hit level 3. You can hit level 3 off of doing 3 camps. So I think triple buffing is not as hard hitting as it used to be.
All right, I thought you wanted to say something, Monty, but didn't. So this game, obviously, Lyon not really able to perform up to task, but we're going to have to watch Unicorns of Love now playing up against Team Solo Mid to come in. What are we thinking about this? Obviously, Kickass in the jungle against Santorin, but Power of Evil and Bjergsen in the mid lane.
So I would like... Power of Evil's had a lot of kind of momentum and praise coming into this tournament, and people were expecting a lot of him. In the first game, I don't think we really seen that at all, if that's fair to say. But going into the second game, I seen a lot more confidence coming from Power of Evil. It was making a lot more opportunities happen with LeBlanc, going a lot more aggressive. And even in team fights, you would see him going for that extra dash in when maybe some people wouldn't do that, which was really refreshing to see.
Yeah,
so.
Monty got his balls.
Yeah, he did. I was very happy to see that. We saw more teleport plays this game. And, you know, something that I wanted to touch on here is that one thing that is less reliable now than it ever has been is that gold total in the game. And you could see that, yes, we did have a big gold deficit, but we have to remember that the dragon doesn't give the gold anymore. And so when you have all of those dragon stacks that were on Lyon Gaming while Unicorn of Love were still struggling with it, that translates directly into gold, because those percentage stats, just for an example, 300 AP based off of gold efficiency, if you have 300 AP and you've got the 8% dragon buff, that's worth about 550 gold, a little less. And if you have 200 AD, that's worth about 575 gold. And so when we see these big leads, but we know that one team has that first buff, and it's really that first buff that's the most important. And I think the one mistake here that Lyon made, and many teams I think will be making this mistake in this new patch, is that if you have the one dragon buff and you're sitting at 25 minutes when these buffs start to become super efficient, you have to prevent the enemy team from getting that first dragon, because that is just a tremendous gold swing.
All right, now, Saint, one last question for you before we move on to the Pain Cloud9 game. We're actually going to throw it down to Shox. How do you feel now seeing Unicorns of Love? They're going to fare in the LCS. Is this the team that's going to do well? Can they represent the hype? We obviously have more games to see of them, but from what you've seen so far?
I think they are a good team with a lot of potential, but I think they definitely need to work on just progressing the game. I mean, in the games where they had the lead, they weren't really vision controlling to get a pick, and they weren't really trying to like push it to end the game. Like, they had the power spikes on their champions. So LeBlanc was able to literally one-shot almost anybody, and they just don't really push it. So I think that's like a confidence thing. As you play more together as a team and figure out your play style, you gain that confidence.
All right, and next up, we do have Pain Gaming versus Cloud9. We're going to take a moment and throw it down to the stage to Shox, who's with Cloud9's manager.